All right. Party people in the place to be, vandals and all those looking out there in the darkness in hope of we're going to talk about some pulp comic goodness. This is a brand new episode of Big Tuesday. And this is going to be a pretty fun one because we're breaking it down even again. This is going to be a Marvel and DC one. And Joey, man, what are the two really fun books we're talking about to Nidget?
We're going to be talking about the Immortal Iron Fist, co-written actually by Brubaker and Matt Fraction. And there's a few different artists. You got, how do you pronounce his name?
David Aha or Aja?
Ah,
I've heard it both
Aja
ways.
or Aha. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was Aha or Aja. With a few other guys on that one, is a few other artists with him collaborating on that one. I think you even have the legend. You got Sal Buscema, who does, I think, one issue in that run, that first 5 issues. We're going to be doing the first volume. Then we're going to be doing from
Yeah,
DC's. Yeah.
Travel Foreman and Derek Ferdals,
Mm-hmm.
Russ Heath, John Severance, Sal Buscema, and Tom Palmer are all contributing
Yeah.
art in
There's
this.
quite a crew of artists that work on that one.
Yeah, they
Because
do
they have some
flashbacks and stuff.
flashbacks. Yeah, exactly. So they change up artists for the flashbacks. They have a different artist for all the different Iron Fists throughout different cultures and history. So that's another artist that does that. That has a more energetic kind of I won't say an anime style, but much more uh, energetic style compared to Aha. But Aha, I love his stuff too. I mean, it's a great looking book.
This
Then we're
is a
gonna be
gorgeous book. It is. It's a
yeah,
beautiful. Like,
yeah. And then we'll be looking at another gorgeous book put out by the DC Young Animals imprint that was running just before the pandemic. It was the Jared Ways imprint that he was working on with DC in collaboration with DC. So Cave Carson, yeah, this book has a cybernetic eye. Cave Carson has a cybernetic eye. It was a fun book. You have Jared Way co-wrote it with I think I don't
John
have
Rivera. John
yeah,
Rivera.
John Rivera. And the artist on this is
Michael Avon Oeming.
someone you like a lot. I'm familiar with him. I'm probably not as familiar with him as you are, but I know his work and I've read a
This
few of his things.
this is a
Yeah.
good book for you to kind of get used to him because he kind of embraces his inner Darwin Cook. I mean, he's kind of similar anyways, but like he goes full for it here with the kind of really round heads and stuff. It's fits the pulp style of the book perfectly. We'll get
Hmm.
into this book because the coloring and the design
Yes,
for this book is
that's
just
one thing.
magnificent, dude.
The coloring on this, oof.
The
I
way they
think
use bendy dots, it's incredible. I never seen
mhm.
anybody use bendy dots the way that they do in this book, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And we'll also be because one of our favorite series that got canceled from Black Label, DC's Black Label, was Spurrier and Campbell's Hellblazer book, and it's making a glorious return. This issue got released 2 or 3 weeks ago, so the second issue should be dropping next week or the week after, possibly. I'm not sure the exact dates, but we'll be taking a look at that because we're both big fans of Si Spurrier and Aaron Campbell's 12-issue run of Hellblazer back in 2018-19 or
I think,
2019-20, something like
yeah,
that.
that sounds about right. I'd say maybe
Mhm.
even 20 to into 21, maybe. So I
Yeah.
think it got dropped.
Mhm.
That's a weird time period. I was doing so many different shows and projects at that time. It's kind of a blur, but yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds about right. That was back when everybody was still friends on Twitter. Let's just put it like that.
Good old social media. Fucking social media. Uh, oh,
But on regards to the young animal stuff, what me and Joe are kind of trying to work up to is we want to cover eventually. We want to do all the young animal books and eventually cover the what I consider the
milk.
best uh, event book to ever come out. Man, The Milk Wars by
Yeah,
Gerard Way and Steve Orlando. Good stuff, man. Like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have that one over there. I haven't read it yet, so we're gonna lead up to that. Whoops. I actually have Gerard Way's omnibus for Doom Patrol. I got that, came in. What else was there? There was another interesting one that Allred. Did he do one? What was it
Yeah,
called?
Bug, which was about
Bug.
Forager from New Gods. It's a New
Hmm.
Gods book.
You had Shade, the Changing Lady, which you said you were lukewarm about that one. What else was there in that series? You have
Mother
Farce.
Mother
Yeah,
Panic by Jody
Mother
Hauser.
Panic.
Those are the
Yes,
ones
yes.
that are going to tie into Milk Wars. Those four
Okay,
books, pretty much. Cave
okay,
Carson, Doom Patrol, Mother Panic, and Shade the Changing Girl.
okay. So those are the four that we'll have to cover to lead into.
Yeah,
And
because
then you,
Far Sector and Eternity Girl, those came out after Milk Wars, and those are kind of
after
the
Milk
lot.
Wars. Okay,
Yeah,
Far Sector was a fantastic book from Young Animal. I really enjoyed that one. It was
yeah,
good stuff. Yeah, yeah. They had some really good books. It's too bad it didn't. It didn't last longer than it did because
yeah,
what they had maybe what a 3-4 year run with those books about.
yeah. That sounds about right because
Hmm.
maybe
Hmm.
about 2 years, counting the Milk
Yeah.
Wars issues. Because yeah, at most of their launch series, they ran 3 arcs about I'd say 15 issues, and then they had the Milk War issue. So yeah, I'd put them at about maybe 22 to 24 issues. So yeah, that 2 year.
Yeah. So that's cool. Oh, hey Cookie. Cookie's in the chat. How's it going? She's working through some COVID, so hopefully
Oh
she's feeling
snap!
better. Yeah, hopefully she's feeling better. That's why we haven't done a Nick Cage episode in a while because I hit her up and she's like, when I'm feeling better, we'll set something up. So waiting for her to feel a little better, then we'll be hitting another Nick Cage movie sometime in the near future. Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
man, you feel better, homie. That's a bad one, but at least you caught it nowadays, man. Like
She's
it's
almost out of the woods now. Yeah, she said she had. Because I saw a post she made. And she said most people say they lose their smell and taste, and she's like, for some reason, mine got heightened. So maybe she got superpowers from catching COVID. You
yeah.
know, maybe she's
Well,
got heightened senses now.
she does live in New York, and that is probably the most that's the city where you're most likely to probably get superpowers. From what I've,
Hmm.
as a Marvel fan, that's what I've learned.
Yeah, she has like she works at a bank too, so she has like a probably like one of those like not so exciting jobs that like then she moonlights as a superhero, so it's more exciting and interesting, you know.
I, I'm surprised nobody's done that yet, man. We should copyright that. The person that gets superpowers from COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything's like, yeah, heightened, kind of. All their senses are overloaded, you know. Uh,
The Corona Devil, I guess.
she's the perfect superhero candidate. Yeah, 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 man. Because she could do like she could almost do like makeup as a disguise instead of actually
Yeah,
putting on a costume. Like do something cool, some kind of makeup thing. Yeah, for a mask type thing. That'd be kind of cool. Kind of like what's her name from Deadly Class. You know, when she puts the makeup on, you know you're in
Maria.
for
Yeah.
trouble. Yeah, Maria. You know you're in deep shit when she shows up when she's got the full makeup on. You know people are gonna die. Yeah. All right, man. Do you have a check-in or?
Yeah, I watched the new David Ayer, Jason Statham movie Beekeeper. I liked it,
Oh,
man.
how was that? Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Like the only thing is like it came out a little late. Like all the stuff that it's kind of about, like SBF and Logan Paul all got busted, and like crypto and NFTs are kind of dead. So like the thing that kind of the movie's about isn't really a thing anymore. But like if you don't have any knowledge of that stuff whatsoever, it could still be a really kind of cool movie. Like if you didn't follow those stories and stuff. But like that's the only kind of problem I can see with people having with it. I've heard some bad complaints for it, and I don't think they're warranted. I think it's a really fun action movie. It reminded me a lot of the Bruce Willis movie Red, like Red with
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
it's
There's the
fun like
two
that. Yeah.
Malkovich. You had Helen Mirren. Uh, who's the other
Morgan
one from?
Freeman. Morgan
And the
Freeman was up in there.
dark-haired girl from Weeds, right? She was in that.
Yeah, the mom from The Client. What's her
Yeah,
name?
yeah,
Mary Louise Parker. Mary Louise.
yeah. Exactly, something like that. Yeah, Parker something.
She got
Yeah,
3 names. I know that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Ah. Ah, cool. I like Red, so if it's got similar vibes to that, I'll probably enjoy it then.
It's one of Statham's best that I've seen in a long time. Like he fights really good in it. He's actually pretty funny in it. Yeah, I'm a fan of his, and like I'm not gonna say like a lot of his movies have been disappointing, but like this is like up there with around like the first Transporter movie.
Well, you said it was a David Ayer movie?
Yeah, David Ayer directed it.
Yeah, he usually does good action sequences and stuff like that. So, I mean, teaming him up with Statham seems like a no-brainer, you know?
It's a little sillier than Ayer's usual stuff, but it's still a lot of fun. Like I said, it's like Red, so it's got that over-the-top spy assassin stuff going on with Statham, you know, being super elite.
Yeah.
I could kill you any way I want to, you know.
Yeah.
And then I started watching that Jack Ryan movie or Jack Ryan show on Amazon with the Quiet Place guy. I don't really like it.
John Krasinski or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Jim from The Office. Yeah. He is just a blank slate. He has no presence on camera, in my opinion, man. Like,
yeah,
I can see why girls like him. I mean, but that does nothing for me. Like, and the funny thing is, I like Jack Ryan. Like, even actors that I disliked in the past, I've liked as Jack Ryan. I'm not the hugest Alec Baldwin fan, and I like Hunt for the Red October. So it's a role that like I even people that I've kind of disliked in the past I've had fun with, and so like it's also kind of the writing on the show. I don't want to just blame it on poor fucking John Krasinski because like he's just doing what he's told. He's an actor. Like I don't know. It just.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. So, anything else?
Oh, I got to read our buddy Goose, a preview of our buddy Goose's
upcoming
comic book Bonehead. He sent me the PDF for it, and we're going to be having him on probably next weekend. It's going to be great having an actual cast member on as an interviewee. That's going to be a first for us. So that's a lot of fun. Boneheads. So yeah. There'll be a lot more of that coming out from this show. We're going to be promoting the fuck out of that for our boy.
Yeah, cool. So what's the PDF like? Because I know it's not completed. Like, was it just like a lot of the pages like just pencils without words, or is all the lettering done? How far along is it?
I don't know if it's official lettering, but like there is, it's pretty much a rough PDF. There's one page. It's the first page is in color, and the rest of it's in black and white. And
well,
I'd say it's more than pencils. I think they got some preliminary inks done because it's drawn. Pretty sure it's a digital comic. It's pretty good art though. It looks great. But yeah, it's just rough. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of dialogue on it, so it's a good way finished. You know what I mean? But like it's I
know the
rough PDF
from his social media posts. I know the first 2 pages are complete, colors and lettering. So.
I thought he sent it to you too, man. So I'll send it to you after the show because you're gonna have to read
it. I'd have to check my emails. I don't know. I haven't checked, but yeah.
Yeah, he'll have no problem with me because like you're gonna have to interview him and like you're.
Yeah. So all right. So we have Goose. Have his book that you got to see a early preview for that. That's cool. So over the weekend we went to the Walmart to run a few errands, and I saw this was on sale.
Oh God, so yes.
Yeah. And I'd watched the whole first 3 seasons. So, and we sold the house and moved to my parents while we were renovating the new place. So I canceled our satellite cable subscription. So I didn't get to finish watching that series. And by the time I mean, I think there was 1 season left, so I just kind of fell off it. So I'm going to work my way through that because I love that series. I love the first 3 seasons of that show. So that'll be fun rewatch.
That's how you play with nostalgia and do homages perfectly because they cover all of it too. They do stuff from the comics, the old cartoon, the movies. They even throw in stuff from like Twin Peaks. They do like all kinds of horror homages in that 3rd season. They do Nightmare on Elm Street. They do Texas Chainsaw, Evil Dead, like stuff I wouldn't expect a Nickelodeon cartoon to do. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. Great series.
It is a great
probably
series.
My favorite Ninja Turtle cartoon. Like
it is mine. It's definitely mine. Like that's right up there, even with like the movies and everything. Like Pat and I used to watch like every Saturday. We'd like, oh, it's on. I think it was on at, is it 10 or 11? Anyway, we'd make sure we watched it every Saturday. Like, you know, when you're a kid, Saturday morning cartoons. When that was on, we'd make sure we DVR'd it, but we tried to watch it on Saturdays when we could. Yeah, just like the little kids there, you just watch your Saturday morning cartoons. Well, that's the one as adults that we'd actually tune into. Yeah. As for books, I've been reading this, the Silver Surfer, the Dan Slott all read Silver Surfer story. I'm about 2/3 through it.
That's an Omni? Is it the whole thing?
Yeah, it's the omnibus. I got the jacket here. Took the jacket
Love
off.
those Laura Allred covers on that hardcover, man. Looks really pretty on that binding.
Yeah. So yeah, well actually if I open it up, it's kind of like the wraparound type thing there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
With Galactus. Yeah, so it's gotten to it's been good. Now I got to the point where like there's a reveal and it's really getting into the meat and potatoes and it's really good. It's more or less like a love story, a Silver Surfer love story.
It's more or less Madman with a surfboard.
yeah, more or less.
That's what it reminded me of when I read it. Like Dan Slott, they said Dan Slott wrote it, but like I swear it's just a Mike Allred comic, kind of. You know?
Yeah. So I've been reading that. What else? I've been reading just other like random stuff. Borderlines. I finished up Borderline that you recommended to me. Fucking love that book, man. It was fantastic. So we'll more than likely do in the not too distant future, we'll probably do one episode or maybe a two-parter on that. Yeah, I'd like do I think you like we said it was 4 volumes, so maybe do 2 and 2. So maybe do a two-parter episode on that. That is fantastic. Like anyone who's a fan of Eduardo Rizzo's work, his stuff in black and white is just.
If you like dystopian, cyberpunk, or any kind of like desolate, futuristic comics, like you need to read this. This is like the most brutal one of the most brutal ones I've ever read, man. It goes for the hardcore points, man. Every beat of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, all 4 volumes. You can, if you have a Kindle subscription, you can read them for free on Kindle. But I think this is the one where I'm actually gonna order the volumes because I want to have them on hand so I can flip through them easily. Like just pull it off a shelf and even if you're not into dystopian stuff, like just for his artwork, it's worth getting just for that, just to have as reference because. Like we were saying, black and white. It's a black and white book. I think I should make say that in case people get it. But it's black and white. But man,
it's still Eduardo Rizzo. Like the detail and just the artistry on display there, you don't mind. You know what I mean? Like you get a full picture in every panel. And the funny thing is this is like one of his really early books, man. Like it's I think it's the first book he did when he they brought him to Europe and brought his work to Europe and started publishing it there. And right out of the gate, the dude was just as talented as he was when he was doing 100 Bullets, man. Like he makes me so jealous, but like there's a reason why he's my favorite artist, man. He is so incredible. And his characters are just so lifelike and so cartoonish at the same time. I don't know how he does it, but like he walks that razor's edge perfectly between having
and just his mastery of like the positive and negative space and how he plays with the black and the white is just masterful. Like so good. Like if you're into like let's say an example, we had a quick discussion about that, like the way Frank Miller plays with positive and negative space on the Sin City comics, like Eduardo Rizzo just fucking
he bodies
does the same.
He bodies Miller though. He does the same thing, but so much better, man. So much more detailed. Like when you look at Frank Miller, you're like, oh my god, that's incredible. Like, and then you look at Eduardo Rizzo, and you're just like, oh, like it's unreal.
Yeah. So if you like that kind of black and white stuff, like pick this up. Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. For shows, haven't really watched very many movies, but shows I did Mayor of Easttown. That was really good. What else did we watch? I just finished watching Chernobyl today. I hadn't watched that, so I'm late to the game there. Finished up. I don't know if I talked about it. Did I talk about Fargo? We finished that up, season finale. That was a great. I think I did mention that.
Yeah, I think we
Great,
talked about
great
that,
series.
right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so that was a great series send off. Been watching True Detective. It's been really good. Is that it? What else? I've been continuing with Brassic. That's that Joseph Gilgan series. Really good. I'm on the fourth season, so I'm almost more than halfway through the fourth season of that. That's really good. So if you like Snatch or Lock, Stock, that type of stuff, it definitely has those kind of vibes. What else? I think that pretty much sums it up for my check-in, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. All right. Get some John.
he is back. And
He's
oh my,
back.
it's glorious too, man. Like I was for the longest time, we didn't know if it was going to happen, because when it got called, it was the weirdest thing in the world, because it literally was the highest ranking and our best rated and the best selling DC comic they had at the time. And like they just dropped it for some reason. And I think it might have been Spurrier had too much on his plate. I don't know, you know what I mean? But he didn't seem to like really leave DC, you know what I mean? He was still like he went and did that Peacemaker book and a bunch of other stuff there still.
He
So
didn't he do like a Suicide Squad one as well with Aaron Campbell?
yeah, that's what I was talking about. My bad. It was a whole Suicide Squad one, not just Peacemaker. I remember he was. Okay. I have the book. He's on the cover. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he did. He was doing stuff at Marvel. Yeah, he was all over the place. He was doing his own stuff. He was doing some X-Men stuff. The Rise of Legion, or anyway, he did some X-Men stuff at the a little run there.
He
what
did
else?
That Black Knight comic.
Yeah, he was doing quite a bit of stuff. So, like you said, maybe just spread himself out too thin.
But everybody I knew was so disappointed when this book got called, but it is so great that it's back. But like the thing that I'd have to say is, to get into this, really, like to know where it's at, you definitely need to go back and read the first 12 issues of the Spurrier run.
Yeah, because it picks up
directly, pretty much.
I don't know if it's right after, but very shortly after the other one ends, right? Like there's not like a big time gap or anything.
Yeah, all that's happened pretty much is like they've left England and like they're now in America, because
in the US, yes,
in America. Exactly. And it starts out there. I don't like the first scene. It's kind of weird. I hope that they get back to this. This is, I hate to say it, this is totally a series that I think is going to be written for the trade. But even though I said that, never mind that. Buy these issues so we get more of this, because this comic is so freaking awesome. But we get this opening scene of the skeleton climbing up the Hollywood Hill and looking over and going, "Oh, are they filming a porno over there?" And then falling down. And then it switches all the way to the other side of the country, where John Constantine is talking to a demon inside of a statue of Ponce de Leon at the Fountain of Youth in Florida. And basically he's trying to get answers from Hell about whether Noah is going to be damned for what they did at the end of the last arc, and if John is going to get out of this, because basically he's not really alive at the moment. Like he's up and breathing because of his demon blood, but his body's all but shut down. Like his heart's not beating, he's not breathing, so he's basically just being strung along by his supernatural blood that he's had in him since he tricked the demons into letting him
live. Is why you get that picture of the cover of like half his face like zombie like and the other half normal. Like he's basically Walking Dead, basically, you know.
That's why I'm guessing that he's probably the horny skeleton.
Been fallen. That's the impression I got too. So
yeah,
and of course, if John is in the U.S., you know he's gonna have to hook up with Swamp Thing, right? So,
but this issue is really crazy, because like he's talking to this skeleton, this Ponce de Leon demon, and this Girl Scout comes down. You don't really know what
Mhm.
her deal is, but she just answers all of John's questions and then banishes the demon back to hell and basically tells John, get on the road. You've got work to do. And
Yeah.
so on their way from England, they stowed away on a ship that was bringing cars and buses and stuff over to America from England, and they John uses his magic. They steal a double decker, and like Noah's driving it, and they're basically cutting a chogi through Florida, like Joe said, to meet up with Swamp Thing. But
because he's got to talk to a man, right? You know.
well, we get this great Highway to Heaven scene with the hitchhiker, which is pretty cool. John says not to pick him up, and Noah doesn't. Then John has this really great dream where like they pick him up anyways, and it ends up being Dream. And at first, I was like, oh man, they brought Morpheus back to life, which fair enough. Like it's normal for them to retcon, but no, it got switched, and it's actually Daniel, like the second Dream. And I was like, cool, they kept that continuity because I wasn't sure if they were going to with this new stuff. Like you never know what DC's going to retcon or not. So I thought it was really cool that they had Daniel still his Dream, and the fact that John's scared of him because Morpheus never smiled. But Daniel's got a sense of humor, which terrifies the shit out of John, which I thought was a great thing to put in the book, man. Like stuff like that really, really makes me know that Si Spurrier fucking gets what he's playing with here. And basically,
and later on, like you say, you keep going, so it erases all questions of the continuity, like you said, because when he gets to the resort where he sits on the bench and he's trying to call out to Alec Holland, and like the voice comes back, I don't know who John Constantine or Alec Holland is. So now you're like, oh, okay, so he's going with the Rom V Swamp Thing, right? Yeah. So we don't know that for sure, but that's the impression you get, right? Because didn't Swamp Thing Rom's Swamp Thing came out after Hellblazer, right?
I think they were running around the same time.
Okay, so I wonder if that's a switch that Spurrier did. Like, I don't know if that was the intent or if he was like trying to go with the Alec Holland one originally when he had the idea, or if they changed that up.
I think that they're playing with the fact that because this John Constantine isn't in his right world, so I don't think that the Swamp Thing has happened the way it was supposed to either, because he wasn't there to affect its change. Because like basically like they brought him to a world that there actually wasn't really a John Constantine before, and basically dropped like the old continuity John Constantine here, which is but it's kind of crazy that like old continuity Dreams there as well. But like you said, Swamp Thing, I think that he might be actually doing his own thing with Swamp Thing to kind of tie it in with this John Constantine.
But if not, if it's Rom V's, then it's going to be Levi that took on the mantle of the Green and Rom V's Swamp Thing. Yeah,
that's cool too. I never actually read too much of that, so I might need to look into it. But
it's free on Kindle. If you have Kindle, I know the first volume is free for Rom's Swamp Thing. So if you want to get caught up on that, thinking it might be leading into the second issue, we're not sure. It just ends with what we assume is Swamp Thing or the new bearer of the Green saying they don't know the name John Constantine or Alec Holland. So
and he's
so we don't know.
It's not like
he's at a golf. Yeah, it's not in the swamp. It's on a golf course at a resort. Yeah.
And the cool thing is, man, I love about this book is like they really go out of their way to kind of like play like how Brits look at America, but at the same time the way Aaron Campbell draws the South, man, like he draws it as pretty as it actually is. Like it's so good about this book. It really toes the line of its messaging. I think it's a proper fucking Vertigo book. I'm so happy that like something like this exists in modern day, like this in the Fables that's running now. It's kind of cool. I was worried that they would drop a lot of that stuff, but it's kind of cool to see DC honoring a little bit of this in this modern day and age. An old head, an old fan like me, it makes me really happy. Also that they dipped back into like old school Sandman lore with this, and basically John has to work for Dream because of the pouch of sand that from the first arc of Sandman. Basically, John used some of it. Like he lied about not being able to use it back in the day. So to make it up to Dream, he has to find a couple grains that were used before John ever found it. Even like it was after like whatever that British guy was. So like basically, like John's on a quest for Dream. in this book. We're not really quite sure, but there's basically an evil in America. I'm getting kind of Peter Milligan, Shade the Changing Man vibes, the American Scream type thing going on.
Yeah, where he's traveling the U.S. trying to
with some buddies. Yeah, a little bit of that kind of, which is cool. That's a great book to homage. You know what I mean? I'm sure Petey doesn't mind. So,
yeah. So, solid first issue to get back into it. I mean, but definitely go if you haven't read the first 12 issues, man. Oof, the first 2 arcs, fantastic. You have to go pick that up and read that because probably one of the best Hellblazer stories I've ever read. And I've read all of Garth Ennis. I've read quite a bit. I haven't read the entire run of Hellblazer, but I've read quite a few different things on Hellblazer. So, but this one, Si Spurrier's is right up there. I mean, it's really.
He had a great start to one, man, and it's continuing to look like it's going to be a good one. But like Ennis and Carey and a couple of them guys, like those guys had like 70 issue runs, man, and like really great epics for John, and I'm kind of hoping Si gets that eventually. I like that DC is putting these out in like mini series, and I hope that like he gets a good 4 or 5 of these out of it, so he actually ends up with a pretty decent Hellblazer run, because he is the perfect writer for it at the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's captured the character well, the world, just the tone, the atmosphere. It's like it's perfect. Like it's a Hellblazer. It's not a John Constantine book. It's a John Constantine Hellblazer book, right? So it definitely lends itself to the original series really well.
And yeah, I'm just happy Nat's back, and like
she's a great character.
Yeah.
The only thing is, one thing I loved about the first was when he trapped the demon in his cell phone.
Oh yeah,
I love that. Where he'd have conversations with the phone and like smart ass remarks the phone would get. It was too good. That was great. Like he can't, like, that's why I can't wait to see like maybe what he does, because like there was a lot of little things in that first 12 issues that were just fantastic. So yeah. Yeah. So we'll see if he has a few fun little things up his sleeve for this new run.
Do you know how long this Dead in America mini series is supposed to be? It's like 6 or 8, right? Somewhere around there.
I thought I heard 8, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's what I would get.
Thought I don't quote me on that. I thought I read 8, or I saw it like one of 8 in the solicits, but I'm not entirely sure. I can go look it up real quick. So you can introduce. Might as well introduce the. What book do you want to do first out of the 2 big 2 books?
I have Immortal Iron Fist loaded up because I'm going to have to slowly upload pictures for Cave Carson as we go.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
But yeah, we're doing Immortal Iron Fist, the last Iron Fist story by Ed Brubaker, Matthew Fraction, and David Aja with guest artists. And man, this book was my introduction to the character, and I was blown away, man. I pretty much at the time, just kind of like everybody else at the moment, like worshipped Brubaker. And this was a pretty fun time for comics too. Like this was directly after Civil War. So I was not a fan of Civil War. I don't like most events, but I loved the aftermath of Civil War. I loved the battle lines drawn in the sand between the different factions of heroes. You know what I mean? And that it was such a fun time for the element, and like that's when this book kind of takes place. So there's going to be certain key elements that we'll reference here that will sound out of place to you, but that is why like certain people are against each other in this book, because of it's directly after Civil War. And so like Joey said, this kind of starts off with some really cool flashbacks, and this one starts out with ancient Chinese Iron Fist, and it kind of just shows him mobbing through this field, just going to war against like all these dudes on horses. And like right before the clash happens, we jump to nowadays, and we're up on a rooftop in New York, and Danny is just smoking some Hydra guys, man, while he's just doing his normal like kung fu, like, I'm a cool guy, I'm the dragon, I breathe the fire, I kick the asses. He's doing like all that stuff. And the art here is just, like we said, glorious, man. Look at that coloring too. Like, this was such an oppressive era of artwork for Marvel at the time, because at this point, like, they had just kind of struggled their way back into people's hearts. You know what I mean? They had House of M had happened, Civil War had happened. They were back. They were growing to be Marvel as they are now. But they weren't complacent yet, man. They were still taking risks and just putting out really strong books. But yeah, like Danny, he's up there. He's just kicking the shit out of these Hydra guys. We don't really know why at first, but we do a flashback to earlier that day. And basically, Danny, he's at being Danny, he's at a board meeting for Rand, and basically there's a shady company called what is it called? I forget. Very, very Chinese name. And Danny basically knows that they're shady, so he doesn't want to sell his trades to them, even though Hogarth has put like this whole deal together, like weeks of work. Danny's kind of a dick. I want to put that. People that aren't used to Iron Fist, he's going to be a bit of a hard character to get into a little bit, because just how abrasive he is. He's
your typical entitled rich boy, right? Where, attitude like, oh, I don't give a shit, I'm rich, and whereas the other guy worked hard to get where he's at, so he puts a lot of energy into it, and then he's just like, fuck it, like, let's squash this. And the other guy's like, man, dude, like, I still gotta live. You like, like, completely doesn't care and does his own thing, and complete disregard for the people around him that are supposed to have his back and stuff. So yeah, I could see like how you're saying how he can be unlikable for
unless he's written by the right kind of people. Because I've read runs of Iron Fist where he is just hateable. Like Ed Briscoe run, like it's a fun run, but you will hate Danny through that whole book. Man. Yeah. Basically, like, and after he tells the guys to bounce it, he's not going to sell them the trains. The guy basically tells him, like, you have a lovely building. One day I hope to have it myself. Basically threatening him. So Danny doesn't really think that jives. So this is kind of how he leads up to he breaks into their office and gets just attacked by all these Hydra guys hanging out in the cubicles waiting for him, pretty much. And
corporate espionage.
What I like about this man is he gets his ass beat in this first issue.
Yeah,
he gets his ass beat and thrown off a roof for being smug, and that's kind of the cool thing about Iron Fist is he has like these supernatural powers, but like he gets his ass kicked all the time, and I think that's kind of what endears the character to me. Like that's kind of the same reason like I like Moon Knight and Daredevil. I don't know why I have a thing for heroes that get beat up, but like
it's because of his cockiness, like you said, right? He's overconfident, so he always takes his enemies lightly or underestimates them, which kind of puts him in some tough spots a lot of the time. So yeah, and that mechanical spider creature, just
that is so cool.
Yeah, it's a good design, and Aha's style, man, it kind of echoes a little bit, kind of like a like if I had to compare it to someone else, it would be like a Jay Lee. Like I think it has a very similar style to like Jay Lee. His figures are long, elegant, long figures. Like
his characters move a little more fluidly. There's a bit more ease to motion with his characters than Lee's. But yeah, very similar. Yeah. And I think it's the way they ink too. Like they go for the blacks and the outlines like that.
And I love that style. So it's awesome. Yeah. Good stuff.
But after Danny gets chucked off the roof, we get our kind of B plot where we see Davos, our villain, the Steel Serpent. Basically, he's hunting somebody, and we don't really know what his gig is yet. But like he's working with the Crane Mother like usual, and basically like the Crane girls, they sneak up on this old guy who we end up finding out, and they try to beat him up, but like they can't. They find out that he's Orson Randall, and basically he was the Iron Fist. Two before Danny, I believe.
Yeah, like during the Second World War, right?
First World War.
Okay.
Yeah, he was World War I Iron Fist. So like, yeah, he was two Iron Fists before Danny, but like you end up finding out through the story he gets his power taken away, but like he still can use it, and like this is kind of where they set up that lore. What you got? Another thing you got to understand about this time too is Iron Fist hadn't had his own comic in over a decade, so like they were kind of really trying to they were using a lot of the old lore, but they were trying to reinvent the character as kind of like a legacy type character. So I don't think that they really played with that element of the character before, at least not in the older stuff that I've read. And the introduction of this Orson Randall character really just has dominated the series ever since. Like everybody uses him, and like he's pretty much an invention for these guys.
He's a really cool character.
Yeah.
I liked his character. I loved his character. Like the Danny Rand Iron Fist is cool and all, but that Iron Fist, I mean, a double wielding gun guy doing flips and shooting. I mean,
you'd like my ideas. Cool. What I think they should have did is before they made the Danny Rand Iron Fist, they should have made like a pulpy movie about the Orson Randall Iron Fist, man, about him doing running around doing some Indiana Jones shit in World War I, and kind of setting up the lore and everything. And then I think that they would have persevered a lot better than doing what they did with Iron Fist. And I think the Orson Randall character, they brought him up at the very last scene of the second season of the Iron Fist show, and like by then it was too late. Even I was like, that's cool, but like it's too late. You guys lost me.
Yeah. But I mean, great character. I loved his character in this, and the way they told his backstory and everything was great. Like like for what was it? I think this is 6 issues, this volume, right? So they fleshed his character out pretty good, where you get like more than enough backstory, so you really get a feel for the character and stuff. So I thought they did a really good job with that.
Yeah. And we get another flashback. We get this kind of cool pirate queen, Iron Fist, just like smoking these dudes on this old Chinese boat. I love the flashbacks in this book too. Like I kind of wish they give some of these other Iron Fists their own comics. Like they did give Orson Randall a couple 48 issue special issues here and there, but like I think that they could have gave him. I don't know. This book didn't sell too well, but like it would have been fun if like they would have given him his own like little mini series here and there, and maybe a couple of these other Iron Fists that they show, because a lot of them are a lot of fun, and like the little couple page spreads they give us are super cool. But yeah, basically like we see after Danny gets chucked off the roof by Hydra, he makes a phone call and he gets rescued by Luke Cage, and Luke Cage and Night Nurse basically bring him back to one of his safe houses. And like him and Luke eat a bunch of Chinese food and try to figure out what's going on with a Hydra in the city. Meanwhile, Luke basically tells him like Danny Rand has history with Misty Knight, and like they're best friends with Colleen Wing. But basically, Misty Knight and Colleen Wing are basically they're on Iron Man's side of Civil War. Registration bounty hunters basically working for Iron Man, and they're using Heroes for Hire name, which is Danny and Luke Cage's old team.
And that whole story is about heroes have to register their identity, right?
Yeah, and basically Danny and Luke are on the side that they shouldn't have to, and Misty and Colleen are on Iron Man's side. So So basically, Danny sees the flyer and gets all bummed out because his his ex girlfriend is totally stole his band name and is kind of using it for purposes he doesn't think is cool. But we'll see later in this arc that it is all cool. That's what I kind of like about it. At the same time, like we get some pretty cool character moments in this little series. I love this arc, man. Like this. Did you like this, Joe? I didn't ask before we got into it.
Well, I'm not hugely familiar with Iron. Like, I'm familiar with the character, but I've never really dove too deep into like the comics. His comics, like I know there is the whole like Luke Cage and him, Heroes for Hire. I've seen some of those comics. I've read a few comics with him, but I've never really dove into any Iron Fist comics. So This would be like the first time I've actually read an Iron Fist comic without him making like a guest appearance in someone else's book or like a mini series or something like that. So yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Like you said, they introduced. I like the fact that they introduced like all the Iron Fists that came before, and what was the one with the guns there?
Orson Randall.
Orson Randall, like how they bring Orson Randall and they kind of like team up, and I thought that was great. And it leads for some amazing action sequences near the end of that first arc, which is just fantastic, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that I want to bring up about the two books we picked tonight. I didn't do it on purpose, but they're both paced so wonderfully. Like the way that like they have the really cool exposition scenes, and then the action scenes aren't too far apart from each other. You get a decent, at least every issue and a half, you get a pretty good like badass sequence, and like they're all drawn and rendered so good. They're not cheap out action scenes either. Like
no, yeah, like and just I mean, Aha just draws a great character kicking, right? Like the way he draws, like him extending, and when he throws a kick and stuff, it's just fantastic panels of like just in the air kicking, punching, and all that stuff. Like I love the poses he takes and the shots that he makes and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's good. It lends itself. His style definitely lends itself well to that character, to the Iron Fist character.
So yeah, basically Orson Randall like gets to New York. He's gonna talk to Danny, but like the cops bust him first, and they're not good cops, and we know that. Like Orson beats him up and escapes. Meanwhile, Danny's talking to Hogarth. He's like doing his superhero training stuff, and like he's kind of blowing him off, not really listening to what he's saying. And like Hogarth kind of just drops on him. Yeah, you know those that company you just yesterday? Well, they're buying us, and they're gonna
hostile takeover. Yeah.
So he's like, what now? And like while they're talking this out, all of a sudden Danny's hand starts acting up. He goes into severe pain, basically feeling like his power is being used, but he's not using it. Meanwhile, Orson Randall is powering up because he's being chased by two super powered like evil cops and stuff, and like they're tearing the city up. And we get this cool flashback of him in World War One. Pretty cool. I forget who did the art here. This is probably my favorite drawn flashback. I don't know why. I just really like the way he did the details of the trenches and stuff. But
and I think they tried to get someone who kind of had a style that mimicked maybe a little bit the style of comics back early on. You know,
yeah, that Kirby look a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, just to give it maybe an older feel to it, the style and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they have this big fight in the middle of the city, and Orson ends up beating him up and getting away. But Danny's arm stops hurting, so he gets dressed, takes off, and he goes to find out what was happening. And when he gets there, he basically finds out that it was a crime scene. So he thinks whoever's using his power is hurting people. He does not knowing that like really what the conflict was. So this kind of leads to like him, what the inevitable fight when him and Orson Randall run into each other. You know, it always happens when two superheroes.
Yeah. Instead of talking, they start punching each other before they start talking, and then they realize, oh, wait a minute, we're kind of on the same side, right? So yeah. Yeah, some great sequences, panel sequences like that. Yeah, I enjoyed, and I kind of enjoyed the break, like between artists and stuff like that. Like it, sometimes I don't enjoy it, but I like it because it was like reserved for flashbacks and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. It makes it easier to understand because okay, this is a flashback, this is present. Like it doesn't get confusing. Like it makes everything extremely clear, like chronologically what you're looking at and like what's taking place now or in the past and stuff. So it was a good way of doing it.
And meanwhile, while all that's happening, like Davos and the Crane Mother, like you find out they're working with the company and Hydra. So yeah, they got all that going on. And yeah, like I said, Danny gets back to his building, and Orson's there, and so Danny pops him before they start talking, and then we get this great scene where like he blocks his hand, and like they see they both have the Iron Fist, so they chill and talk. And basically, Orson tells Danny about his dad when Danny's dad was a little kid, because Orson Randall basically raised his dad. I forget what Danny Rand's dad's name is. Randall Rand.
Harvey, or I don't know, something like that. Who knows?
But he basically tells him that, like, yeah, we built this special place that I got to take you to, because there's some information there you need to learn for what's coming. Because he's basically telling them, like, you know what they told you back in Kunlun, it's not all true. You know, there's some shit they kept from you, and like he kind of matriculates that information to Danny slowly through the arc. But yeah, basically, like, he's getting Danny ready for the shock that's going to be the next the lead up to the next arc. But like I love this, them getting tooled up, and just how they have the same outfit, but the way they drew it's so different on the two of them. You know what I mean? Like it's so cool.
Yeah, one has the yellow dragon, the other one has a black dragon. What's his name? I keep forgetting his name. Like one with
Orson.
The guns. Orson has like the pants, like the fatigues, kind of. Like he doesn't have the tights on the bottom, which I think that's why I like the look with the double holster, like the for the guns. I just like his look. It's just really good.
Yeah, the double 45 shoulder holster pulp era hero look, like the Shadow, the Spider, original exactly. Batman. That look is always iconic. You know what I mean? For superheroes, dude.
I mean, it doesn't get old. I mean, it's such a great look. I mean, that's why I loved it. Like after reading this, I didn't really look into it, but did anyone write just a solo like mini series for his character or anything, or is it just reserved to?
He got a couple. He got a couple annuals, 48-page annuals about him that they did for this book. I think they're probably in a couple. One of the trades there's. I know they did one for sure. I'm not sure how many they did, but yeah, there are. But like, no, he never got his own book. The only other thing,
little mini series or something. Yeah,
they did a side mini series that Jason Aaron wrote for the other Immortal Weapons, because basically there's 7 other cities besides Kunlun, and they all have their own weapons, their own, like, they're not all like Iron Fist. There's like the Spider's Daughter, and like the Orphan King, and like there's like 7 different ones. Fat Cobra, who showed up in Hit Monkey, he's one of the Immortal Weapons. Like so, and then Davos, who was an Immortal Weapon, he's the Steel Serpent. So
yeah,
but like those are the only people I know that got spin-offs from this book. It wasn't even that. They only got like 1 shot each, and it was it wasn't a really good spin-off, but it was all right. But yeah, basically, like, they go underground, like they walk through the subways, and basically, like, they find this really cool old train terminal that Danny's dad built with Orson back in the day and stuff, and they end up in this really cool fight with Hydra. They end up showing up and like going to town. I love seeing Orson charge up his pistols with the Iron Fist. It's such a cool look, man. Like I like you. I wish they did more with the character, just because like the way his power worked. I mean, it's kind of chintzy, him like instead of doing kung fu using guns, but whatever, man. It works for like having a alternate character using the power. You know what I mean? Yeah. Plus, it would be rad for a video game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But like, yeah, the fight sequence here, where like they wreck the train and stuff, and basically get the basically Iron Fist manual that they needed to get, and basically that Orson stole from the Thunderer back in the day when he left Kunlun. Like, slowly you learn like this through backstories, but yeah, like basically Orson found out the lies that the capital cities of heaven tell their weapons, and like that's why he ran away, and they came and they took the Iron Fist away from him eventually when they caught him, because after the war he became a hooplehead. He started smoking opium, and he refused to come back to Kunlun. Because basically, when you're the Iron Fist, you're supposed to actually be there protecting Kunlun. You're not supposed to like go back to America and run your business. Like, so Danny's like not actually being a really good Iron Fist.
No, which he's not very good at doing whatever it is he does. Right? He's not a good businessman. He's not the best hero. He's a fuck up, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it leads up to the big conflict with Like,
Yeah. So
because then
basically,
Heroes for Hire come and give him a hand, right?
yeah, basically Hogarth tells him that like gets Misty, Luke, and Colleen to come to help him because basically that evil corporation, they kidnapped his mom and basically forced him to help the deal go through that Danny tanked. And
Yeah.
so like meanwhile while they're having to fight the ninjas upstairs for Hogarth, Danny and Orson get back to Rand Corporation, and Hydra is down in the lobby with Davos waiting for them, and we get this really cool fight scene. Basically, like while Danny and Orson are just smoking all these Hydra fools, Davos is collecting all the Crane mothers, Crane women, and basically like he explodes them to like power his immortal weapon because his normal powers cut off from him. It's explained not in the best way in the book, but like it makes sense when you're reading it, but it's hard to say out loud.
Yeah.
But like basically he charges himself and he just beats the fuck out of Orson Randall, man. Kills him.
More or less, he absorbs the energy of the Crane women to give himself similar powers to the Iron Fist, basically.
Yeah, well, basically, like he used to be an immortal weapon, but he got his cut off and he got banished from the city where he was the weapon.
Yeah.
So he needs to get his power replenished from another place now. And the Crane mother gives him the Crane women to use. And yeah, he was able to get enough power to kill the Iron Fist, and like he was able to take out Orson Randall while basically Luke and Colleen and them get down to the lobby, and they're able to kind of fight Davos off. But like Hydra's able to kidnap Hogarth, but Danny gets basically all of his power now because Orson gives him the little bit that he had left. So now Danny's supercharged, but doesn't matter because Davos skadoos anyways, and he just like teleports out of there, and Danny's gonna kill this Hydra guy because he won't tell him where they took Hogarth. When UT and the Thunder, basically the rulers of Kunlun, the guys that gave him his power, they basically come and tell him like, yeah, dude, no, you got to come fight in Mortal Kombat. And that's basically what the second arc is. It's basically
Mortal Kombat
with Iron Fist and the other immortal weapons. Which we're going to cover that. We're going to do that and probably Cave Carson too. But that's the last of the Immortal Iron Fist, because after that story arc, Ed Brubaker leaves. Then not soon after, Matt Fraction leaves, and the book just crumbles. It's kind of not worth following after that second arc. But we're going to cover it, and it's going to be fun. And when we do,
and they kind of touch on the, they give you a little 5 or 6 page story about the
Danny is Daredevil. When
Danny is Daredevil, yeah, exactly.
Because this also took place at the end of Brian Michael Bendis's Daredevil run, where Kingpin gets Daredevil locked up for being, or Matt Murdock gets locked up for being Daredevil, and basically Danny helps his blind wife get out of the country. So it plays out a lot like Born Again, but instead of what happens to Kingpin, it happens to Matt. But I liked it. I thought it was kind of funny though, like because Brian Michael Bendis built up to this big crescendo of Daredevil getting arrested, and like it didn't take like 4 issues for Brubaker to be like, I don't like this. Like he's out of jail, whatever. Like,
yeah.
But it was a fun enough arc when it happened, and I didn't dislike either runs. I liked Ed Brubaker's run of Daredevil too, but it's kind of funny when writers do that, don't you think? Where like one guy does like all this work to set up this big story, and he kind of leaves it with this big like kind of climactic thing, and this other guy just comes in and is just like, no, he's not in jail anymore. Like Frank Castle shows up and gets him out of jail, and like people believe that Danny Rand is really Daredevil.
I mean, egos, right? People have egos, and it's like, no. So, hey, it is what it is. And for me, it didn't really bother me because, like I said, this is like probably, I wasn't reading much Big Two at this time. I was picking up like maybe the occasional Image book and stuff, so I wasn't really keeping up to date on all the Marvel happenings. So
I would, yeah. This is probably when I was just about starting to read other Marvel stuff that wasn't Daredevil and like Max books that Garth Ennis was writing, or that Michael Straczynski was writing, because I was also reading Supreme Powers. But like, yeah, at that time I was mostly just reading Vertigo and Dark Horse, and maybe I don't even know if I was into Image. Yeah, I was probably like just getting into Image at that time too. Like,
Because when did this come out? In the 2000
uh,
what?
when Civil War came out. Like right there in that glory day of that the Mark Malarkey, Brian Michael Bendis, Joe Quesada heyday of Marvel
So
Comics.
like 2005-ish, 2010-ish?
Not 2005. I'd say closer to the second one you said here. Let me see.
Yeah.
2007. You were right in between them, man. You were like that juicy spot. So, wow. 2007.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know, because I wasn't reading much stuff. I'd pick up the occasional book here and there, but I wasn't really following any real series really super closely or anything. So.
So we're switching over to our big DC book, our Young Animal book. And Joe, man, how did you feel about this book, dude? Like it's a lot of fun, right? Like it's one that you don't ever hear about. Like it's and after we talk about that, I'll get into the entomology of the character too, because I looked him up just to talk about this book. So I'll talk a little bit about Cave Carson because I read up on him. But how do you feel about it?
I liked it. It's basically a sci-fi book that doesn't take place in space. It's basically what it is, right? Because he explores like the crust.
Underground.
He digs into the earth, right? So it's kind of an interesting take, but it's full sci-fi, right? But it's not a space sci-fi story. So
yeah, no,
a little bit with a little tinge of horror to it, but yeah.
The aliens are underground in this, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't quite think about it like that, but you're right. It is kind of like a space sci-fi, but the reverse.
Yeah. So it was fun. I mean, and I think what Nick Filardi, is that the colorist? Compliments Michael Oeming.
Yeah, Nick Filardi, Michael Avon Oeming, and Clem Robbins on lettering.
Yeah, Avon Oeming and Nick Filardi, man, together. Whew, there is some beautiful, beautiful panels and pages in this, and I love the way they play with the art. It's fantastic. Yeah, like the offsets, it's just fun. It's a fun book, and you have one character that I was really surprised to see that I didn't realize was the what's his name? Mad Dog?
Wild Dog.
Wild Dog, that's it. Wild Dog was a character. I was like, oh shit, you know.
I never heard of him until I read this book, and like he became a fast favorite of mine. Like statistically speaking, like I don't know. I don't know. I found him really kind of fun, man. Like he kind of reminded me of El Boeem from Black Blizzard. I think like the reason why I liked El Boeem and Black Blizzard so much is because he reminded me of Wild Dog. Like,
yeah, he's fun. He's kind of
Casey Jones.
He's like a mixed bag of like Punisher and Casey Jones mixed. Like if you mix them together or something, I don't know. It's a weird mix, you know. So yeah. It was fun. Cave Carson himself. I don't know how much. I know that Gerard Way, when he was looking for a character, he wanted to find a more obscure character in the DC that DC had the rights to for the property, and he came across this character. So I was reading some of the back matter and stuff, and he went through one of those DC character books.
Cave Carson originally appeared in Brave and the Bold 31 in September 1960, and he kind of only showed up sporadically here and there in like Showcase, and yeah, I think he was maybe in like 20 issues of comics throughout his entomology before like Gerard Way used him. But like he did like he said in the comic, man, he did work with Superman once. I mean, like he has teamed up with a lot of the A-listers according to what I've read, but like yeah, he was kind of just like a guy that had strips that ran in those kind of old anthology style comics like DC Showcase and DC Presents and stuff like that, and the Brave and the Bold. But this book's kind of littered like that. There was a really fun and I clipped the panels too. Let me see if I can fast. A really cool
Yeah.
moment with the metal men, like where they show up and are
Yeah, he talks to them. Yeah, he's like, "Hey, what's up?" Yeah, there's a bunch of little things, and I
yeah.
love the relationship with his daughter. The way they incorporated that, I love those scenes. Like his daughter, and she's much older, right? She's in college, and where they go underground to, because the mother in this book, it's revealed that she's one of the uh, what are they exactly? She's not. I wouldn't say alien, but like a different.
They're basically humans that evolved underground. So
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
this book starts out like Cave is old time. He's kind of retired, and like his wife just passed away, so he's kind of in the dumps and everything. And they're basically retiring him and his team, and they're giving it to a younger generation. And like meanwhile, like you said, his daughter's kind of grown up, and she's kind of moved away from the dad after the mom's death, and dad kind of closed off and didn't really talk to her too much about what happened. And like I said, they're kind of replacing him at work and everything, while uh, basically his eye is malfunctioning at the same time. You kind of learn later in the book that his cybernetic eye he found while he was exploring down. It was just wandering around. It's like this spider thing, and it literally just jumped in his head and became his eyeball.
Inserted itself. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And ever
like he
since then, it gave him like abilities where he can scan stuff and like read technical charts and stuff and environments and it gave him some special abilities.
And that's why
Yeah.
he was talking to Doc Magnus from the Metalman to see like what's up with the eye, and because he's seeing weird stuff and it's not acting normal. And then Doc Magnus is telling him like, dude, this is not made out of metal from Earth. You know what I mean? This thing does not make any sense to me. I can't help you, dude. Like I know I'm the metal guy, I'm the robot guy, but like I can't do anything with this. So he goes home after that. Or actually, after that he kind of meets his daughter. They kind of have a dinner. It doesn't go super well, but he goes home and like he thinks his eye's malfunctioning again. And like one of the Maldrugian underground people come to his house and talk to him, and they're trying to warn him about what's going on. But like it transforms into like this monster, and Cave doesn't know if his eye's tripping or if this is actually happening. But like he defeats it, and like it finds out that it's like real and stuff. So he goes to his work, and like actually first he calls the wild dog, and you get to see the wild dog's butt right away. Like one of the first things you see about him.
Yeah.
Also, Cave's got this pin where it's himself, and like whether you lift it up or down, his pants fall off. It's pretty funny. There's
Yeah.
some hero butt in this book.
Yeah. That's what we're telling our buddy Richard, that he should make like pens and shit like that for Blam and Glam.
But yeah, here's Cave finding his eye, and like this thing just ripped it out and like took it over. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So he's kind of working with this hostile entity in its head, but it seems to work with him most of the time. Like
Mhm.
it's a neat dichotomy that the two of them have. Like that's neat to say. But yeah, like you said, man, like Chloe, she's trying to move on. She's like she's dating Gerard Way. They don't actually say that. I think his name's Pete, but like look at him, that's Gerard Way. And like she's kind of act like she doesn't know kung fu or anything anymore, and she's just like a normal girl. Cave goes to work, and he's trying to talk to his boss about like what's going on and what he saw. And his boss starts acting really shady right away, and he's like telling him like, yeah, we've known that there's stuff going on down there, but we didn't really want to bring you into it. And meanwhile, you find out they're trying to kidnap his daughter for some reason. You got these guys sneaking in. They trank Gerard Way and try to kidnap her, but she still knows kung fu because she beats the fuck out of him, man, and runs away. Meanwhile, like what Cave knows that his boss is acting shady, so he uses his pants dropping pin that's actually a grenade to escape. And like basically he calls the wild dog, and like they're gonna meet up while Chloe's beating the shit out of the guys, doing her getaway. I love this scene with the wild dog, and then Cave shows up with it just smokes these guys. Like you think like wild dog's real because he's like mowing these guys down with the machine guns, but then Cave just bursts through the wall and just like look at this gore he leaves in his wake, man, with his car.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, like there's some beautiful panels in there of just action and stuff, and then when they're escaping, you get that creature that starts chasing them too, right?
Oh,
Is that
dude.
right now?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit after this. This is after they wreck the car, and then
Okay.
they rescue the car, and then yeah, they start boring. They have to start boring underground because like that one guy transforms into this cool dragon thing, and then yeah, we get oh, here's a flashback. Basically, Cave's best friend Johnny, it gets called in. He's got to try to track him down and hunt him. But yeah, the subterranean chase scene with the monster, it is just one of my favorite action set pieces that I've read in a long time. I mean, reread in a long time. I forgot how good this was, but like it's pulse pounding and it's on paper, but the way that they did it and like we said, man, the way that they use bendy dots to texture things in this book, I've never seen anybody do that before, but it's glorious and it looks so good with Michael Avon Oeming's art. And it also fits the pulp style perfectly. I mean, it's not a traditional pulp trade, but like, man, does it just blend right in there and it looks timeless. You know what I mean? It's a great look. But yeah, we get some great funny stuff. Like there's this really funny exchange with Chloe and the wild dog where she's like, don't you have a rocket launcher? And he's in there and he's like, no, I can't get one, so remember that the next time you vote, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
But basically, yeah, they're able to like get away from it and they get underground and they basically like they're getting chased by Cave's friends. And man, I gotta try to upload some more pictures really fast.
Yeah. Like you were saying, like there's some great not quite splash pages, but like there's a lot of almost like three-quarter splash page where it's a big panel and then like some smaller ones underneath. Really fantastic stuff. And like I was saying before, the colors by Nick Filardi. A lot of bright stuff. Like you think for an underground like subterranean story, like where it takes place, a lot of it's at night or underground, like under the earth, but it works so well. Like
Well,
because
because the way they shade it, man, like everything,
Mhm.
like they make it like yeah, it's dark, but like you get those like really vivid, like backing colors that like
Mhm.
light the scene, but like not at the same time. Like they fill the negative space, I guess. It's kind of hard to say to talk about how they
Mhm.
light it, but with those neons, man, and it's just
Yeah,
gorgeous.
but it feels like it's a dark setting without it being dark and you can't see anything, right? It's
Yeah,
beautiful the way they do it. Yeah. And it makes sense because they have like there's machinery that's giving off lights or maybe effervescent like stones maybe like reflecting light off surfaces and stuff like that, so it definitely gives it like a definitely cool look like you were saying mm, for the book. It definitely I that's the one thing that really jumped out to me because I've read maybe a couple other things by Michael, and for some reason just Nick's colors just complement his style so well. Mm.
I'm a huge fan, and like I gotta say, like this book probably does have his best looking art just because of the way it is colored. Like, I mean,
Mm.
it's not that much different than the way his art looks in Powers, but like at the same time, like there's a world of difference between because of the way it's colored, man. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
I didn't really pay that much attention to it until like you really put me onto it. But like, yeah, it really does make a difference in a lot of
Mhm.
cases, man. Having really good colors in a book.
And it really adds emphasis to certain parts of the story too when they really go like you said with the Bandai dots or they do that offset color where you get the red and the blue kind of offset, so it really adds impact and like emphasis on a certain part of the story or a panel or and it really makes it jump out at you off the page. So yeah, it's a great use the way the Nick uses the colors in here to help tell the story. Mm. Yeah.
So I we kind of see the whole young team they're coming after Cave and the guys, and like we get these really kind of cool, kind of reminds me of we were just talking about what's his name, David Rubin, doing those kind of really cool panoramic traveling
Yeah.
shots. Like
Yeah.
there's quite a few of these in those in this book too, and like yeah, they're done very well. And basically like they get away, and Cave basically kind of finally tells Chloe that her mom was a subterranean princess from not from the world that so Chloe doesn't take it too well. This is kind of the only moment where I kind of was like thought they wrote Chloe a little poorly because like she kind of has her little bratty teen moment, like I don't want to talk to you right now, Dad.
Yeah, where she like that maturity where you know, like where she's actually becoming it, like past that becoming an adult, where she's starting her adult life kind of thing. But then it kind of goes back to like you said, that bratty teen kind of trope where it's
But it's kind of deserved in this book because Cave is a
yeah,
dick. Cave is a
yeah,
huge dick. Yeah.
a little bit.
All the characters are kind of jerks in this book, but they work in kind of that I don't know, kind of in that Guardians of the Galaxy movie kind of way, you know, where all the characters are dicks, but like they're charming
Well,
and
they're all supposed to be like
abrasive
top
people.
top of the food chain of what they do, right? So they have all these chips on their shoulders, right? So you got all these egos at play, and like Cave Carson's supposed to be like this borderline genius, and you know, so they kind of look down on people for, you know, like the way they interact with people and stuff, and yeah, kind of like what's his name, his friends kind of regarded as a bit of a doofus, right?
Yeah.
Like the one who comes to hunt him, they kind of play him off like kind of like, nah,
He's gullible, yeah.
he's not smart enough to like do all this. Like there's someone else behind it. He's just a pawn in someone else's game, you know? Mm. Like kind of almost belittling him a little bit, the character. Yeah.
And we kind of see our main villain here. He's this kind of gross, dripping old guy, and he's Mr. Boring. He's the guy that actually owns the company that Cave works for, and we basically find out, like back in the day before Cave and everybody, he was an explorer, and he found something weird down in the cave too that he's never quite been the same from since, and like that, he's the reason why like they need to catch Chloe, and there's some machinations going on. Let's just say that. So basically, they get back in the car and like they're cruising. They finally get to Moldrug, and it's beautiful and stuff. But when they get there, they see that like it's kind of like Moria in Lord of the Rings, man. Everybody's just wiped out, and they don't really know what's going on. So like Wild Dog's asking, man, did they have a place to fall out? Did they have an army? Do you know, like if anything? So they kind of stop and kind of reconnoiter, see what's going on. And Cave, he kind of sees like the dead lizard things everywhere, and kind of scans, and he gets kind of emo for a moment, and Wild Dog and Chloe are looking for stuff, and they find the basically they everything revolves around this pool here, and somehow they figure the water supply's gone bad, but they don't really know why, and there's a Boring company guy right there that Cave recognizes, and he's wondering what's this dude doing here. So but basically Chloe and the Wild Dog find this other lab, and they open the door, and like all of a sudden Wild Dog just goes nuts. He's like gonna try to smoke himself, and Cave tries to save him, and like Cave starts seeing his dead wife, and he starts like getting kind of emo too. So he figures whatever that door is that they open, they have to close. So like he gets Chloe to close the door, and like they're saved for a moment. But Johnny and the Mole 2 team show up to try to bust Cave Carson and bring them up and stuff. But basically, they're just there to catch Chloe for whatever the bad guy wants. But the little lizard guys attack and stuff. So basically, Johnny and Cave and them, they have to team up, and after they fight them off, Cave's like, take your team home, John. Like you see I'm actually down here doing something. So like they do go back and stuff at first, but there is a guy on the team that like is a little suck up that is trying to take over the team. So there's some backstabbing that's going to happen, but like Cave and them, they Cave knows where they would go if they needed to fall back, and like they get there, and there's like all these hot elf guys down there that Chloe's like all into. She's like, I just can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Which leads to a funny scene where they go swimming.
Oh yeah.
The skinny dip scene. She's a pretty free spirit. The grandparents and him are having talks, and
it gets a little sad there for him because they didn't know that their daughter died. He didn't ever come down and tell them, which is
a dick move. Yeah, total dick move. You know, like, yeah, fucking Cave, man.
But yeah, this is where we get to see like what the bad guy actually looks like, and he found this kind of crazy mushroom thing down there that talked to him down in the caves, and look at. I, I'm surprised DC let them get away with that. That crotch area is just so gross, man. That is too much, man. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it turns him into like that. See,
The,
that's where the little bit of horror comes in, or the lizard creatures and all that. So
a little bit of body horror sneaks
yeah,
in.
yeah,
But basically to kind of get everybody on one page, back in Moldrug with the grandparents, they take this stuff called night pudding, which is a hallucinogenic made
oh
of bug,
yes, yeah,
and they all trip out, and that leads to the skinny dipping scene. So like
yeah,
basically they all get inside their heads, and like we get these kind of really cool scenes where like Cave's kind of learning about like what's going on, and they find out about what's really going on is there's a thing that like led the Moldrugians, because they were regular people one day, but like they got drawn down to the caves by something that they called the Whisperer, and it's this malevolent thing that is basically the mushroom that that the old guy's turning into, and it's what got into the water, and it freaks the Moldrugians out, and then eventually turns them into the lizard things. Pretty much, those lizards kind of pop out of them. It's
yeah.
kind of like what Cave finds out, but basically, like they find out that like where they know where the Whisperer is, because basically the Moldrugians had to cave it in because it wanted to assimilate them. They discovered a long time ago that it wasn't good, but they kind of forgot about it. They just assumed that it was myth after a long time, like a lot of people seem to do.
Yeah,
But
and some of those trippy panels too and stuff are really cool. But they're not done tripping, and then they have to they get attacked, right? If I
yeah,
remember correctly.
yeah,
Yeah, that was some pretty fun sequences as well.
this scene with the wild dog, man, is pretty crazy, man. You see where he comes from, because he's kind of I'm not. You know that Gerard Way's favorite comic is The Watchmen. He claims it's the first comic he ever read. I think that's such an edgelord thing to say. If it's true, fair enough. But like, I don't think it is. Like, I think everybody's favorite first comic is something like Superman number 85. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody's first comic
Or
is really.
some Spider-Man comic or Batman comic or something like that.
Yeah, but he swears it. But like, and I think that Wild Dog was like him kind of making his own, well, not making his own, because a wild dog was already a character, but like he was doing a Rorschach. He wanted to have a Rorschach of his own, and I think that he kind of nailed it. I really ended up coming out of this book as a wild dog fan. I went and got like his early miniseries trade and stuff after reading this, and I mean he's pretty decent. He just doesn't show up very much, and I think it's because when like they had a chance to actually make him cool, they fumbled it so badly on that Arrow show, man.
Yeah, but Jared Way's known to be a little bit of a fibber, so I wouldn't be surprised if because what was it he said his first comic he wrote was some was it Umbrella Academy he claimed, but he wrote something when he was 16 for Boneyard Press. Uh, what was it called? Wraith
Yeah.
something. Anyway, he wrote 2 issues of that for Boneyard Press. So
I did not know that, man. I thought that I thought Umbrella Academy was his first comic.
nope, no, it had been debunked. Let's go see what was exactly the first. Because Boneyard Press, I was digging into this Boneyard Press because someone brought it up on socials, and then it came up about the whole uh, uh, Gerard Way claiming that Umbrella Academy was his first book, but it was really what was the name of it? Episode also has a young Gerard Way, My Chemical Romance. They don't have the title written here. Oh shit, I can't remember what the title was, but he wrote 2 issues of it. I'll keep looking it up real quick. I'll find it because I have it here somewhere. I knew it wasn't too far away. But anyway, I'll keep looking, and once I find it, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's been known to fib a little bit. Yeah.
I believe it.
Mm.
But yeah, well, basically, they get attacked by the Mole 2 again, like you said, and they end up finding the king, so they don't even need to kidnap Chloe anymore. So the mushroom guy, they got the king, and they're going to the hall of the Whisperer. They're gonna release him, and then Johnny gets stabbed by the little weasel guy that's trying to take over the team. So now, like, the rest of Mole 2 team are gonna team up with Cave, and you get this like really cool like fight scene with the wild dog where he's like decapitating these like crazy like these guys, and at their saddest moment, Cave Carson like sees it, like thinks that he's up over his head, so he decides he's going to call in some big guns, call Superman, and his number for Superman's out of service. So it's hilarious. Did you like that scene, Joe?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thought that was great. So I was like, oh man, are they gonna? And like I'm so happy that they played it that way. So basically, they come up with a battle plan. They're gonna
So it's
just
cool. It's kind of like a shout out to like his origins, like you said, like with the big hitters without actually bringing in like a Superman or so. Yeah, so it's pretty good the way they did that.
yeah. So they team up and they're gonna go try to beat them to the Hall of the Whisperer, basically, and to basically to get themselves psyched up, and so that the Whisperer doesn't affect them, they start chugging the night jelly. So they're going to be tripping out while they're fighting, which is hilarious, man. They're like Michael Bublé going to play some hockey, man. They're just going to take a bunch of hallucinogens. Did you hear about that, dude? Michael Bublé doing mushrooms before playing the NHL All-Star game with Will Arnett.
The celebrity game.
Yeah, I guess his friend gave him a microdose of shrooms, which wasn't supposed to affect him, but like I guess he was like frying out there, and he had a great time according to him. But like, yeah,
that was just this year's All Star or
yeah,
previous.
it just happened this week. Yeah,
okay.
Look up Michael Bublé mushrooms. He like there's a press conference with him and Will Arnett where he's like kind of talks about it for a second. Man, it's hilarious.
So he's just full on full transparency kind of thing.
Well, when you're as famous as him, I guess you can get away with it. But like you said, man, like this is where we get to see some really cool psychedelics, man. Like wild dogs just hanging out the window, double arm, going akimbo with some Mac 10s, just and like yeah, they're smoking these guys. And I love this scene where they draw a wild dog smile under his mask because basically like they're
so that's what I mean. Like look at the dots in the background. This like there's just so much cool stuff they do with the coloring in it. Like I love that. Like how could you not look at that page and just be mesmerized by the art? Like I mean it's fantastic. It's so good.
And they basically stop what they thought was the Whisperer, but like it was the thing that came out of the hall, but like it something else awakens in the old guy basically, and it rises up, and Cave's eye rips out of his head and takes off, and he's just basically like Superman, and like that's where we leave off. Basically, the Whisperer is out and loose, and Cave lost his cybernetic eye, and that is the end of In the Ground, the first arc, and we will be returning to it. But yeah, and
that eye thing, you know what it made me think of the first time I saw like the come out and running around and stuff. You know, East of West.
Yeah,
it gave off like those vibes from East of West. I was like, so good. With the eye thing, I loved it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, good call. And then we get did you read the backstory by Tom Sicoli, the superpowers thing? It's kind of really weird and whimsical, but I love the art. Like
there's like what, about 4 or 5 different little short stories?
Yeah, they basically what Gerard Way wanted these books to feel like you were getting an old school comic that had a B story at the back of it, and like basically all the Young Animal books have them, and like this one that has the superpowers by Tom Sicoli, and like there'll be Wonder Twins or like Commissioner Gordon, but like it's got this gorgeous art style, man. Like Tom Sicoli, like I'm not familiar with him, but like I need to look him up some more because like that classic like art, man. Looks so good, and it's very reminiscent to my homeboy Farrell Dalrymple's. You know what I mean? A little bit, maybe a little. What's his name? Michelle Fife. Is how you say it, right? Kind of Michelle Fife
or Fife, one or the other. I don't know. It depends. I'd have to ask Michelle or Michael how it's either Michelle Fife, Michelle Fife, or Michael Fife or Michael
Well,
Fife.
well,
I don't know. There's 4 different combinations you can use.
me and Adrian have the same story, and I swear, when I first found Copra, nobody was there to correct me. So like, I always thought his name was Michael Fife, but like
Yeah.
later on, everybody told me no, it's Michelle Fife, and I'm like, I'm dyslexic, all right.
Yeah. Whatever. I'll let it's not your name, so if we ever get the chance to talk to Michelle or Michael, whatever, they can correct us on the pronunciation, right? So
It is a little more detailed than FIFA stuff, but like still got that same type of aesthetic to it. I like stuff that looks like that.
Yeah, it was cool. I read those stories. Yeah. So I got that. Gerard Way, who is the co-writer of this one with Joe Rivera, or John Rivera.
John Rivera.
John Rivera, who is another musician, artist, does stuff in multiple genres.
It says that he's done other books, but I can't find what they're called. So I looked him up. I tried to find what the other stuff he might have worked on was called, because it said he's worked on other graphic novels and comics besides this, but I couldn't find it listed anywhere.
Well, I found something earlier on him, but I'll go back to Gerard Way claiming that Umbrella Academy was his first book, which when he was 15, he wrote a comic called On Raven's Wings. But he was credited under the name of Gary Way when he was 15. And that was published by Boneyard Press. So that was his actual first comic. I believe he just wrote 2 issues of On Raven's Wings.
See, that sounds
Boneyard Press.
See, that sounds like the type of comic I would expect Gerard Way to write. Like when he came out with Umbrella Academy, I was kind of like, what? No, like I thought he would like he'd come out with some like some.
But he was 15 years old, right?
Yeah, but like I'm pretty sure he was still a little emo kid at that time, man. 15 years old. Like that was just a little bit before he got famous, anyways, man. Like they were barely 20 when like My Kim Rowe broke big. So, and well, what I understand from what he said is he wanted to write comics originally and got into music because the comic business was too hard to break into.
Yeah. So,
which I'll believe, because well, at least before crowdfunding and all that stuff. I guess it's gotten easier. I'm not sure. Reading a lot of stuff on Twitter, maybe not. You know what I mean? Like it seems crowd funding. I guess you get what you put into it. I'm not sure. I don't want to talk about stuff I don't know, because I've only talked to people who've done it. I haven't done it myself, but that even still seems pretty hard in my opinion. I got mad respect for all our homies that fulfill finish and fulfill all their campaigns, man.
Other things that John Rivera here is worked on something called Danger Days with Gerard Way. I don't know what that is. He assisted on writing, art direction, and filming for Na 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 and Sing music videos. He wrote and directed the Dr. Death Defying Listening Party. He also helped production on Jason's Carnival.
So he works with Gerard Way on, so like he kind of probably helped him develop the Killjoy stuff, because like he worked on all the music videos that tied in with the album that was that he spun that off of. So okay, so like they're collaborators.
Yeah, that's what it seems like here. Yeah. So
the only other comic he did though is that Danger Days. Okay.
I don't even know if that's a comic. It just says he worked on Danger Days. Does that sound familiar to you? Do you know of that?
No, it does not. It's not a Gerard Way comic I know. And I've got all of his Dark Horse and Young Animal stuff, which is weird for me to say, but like I do Gerard Way's comics.
So it doesn't even specify. It just says what the things he worked on are called without really getting into specifics of what exactly they were.
Okay.
Oh, there's a Danger Days. It is a comic. Okay.
Oh, and you know that it might be one of them short things because before he did Umbrella Academy, I know Gerard Way did short comics for this MySpace thing that Dark Horse put out. It was like an anthology comic.
Okay, no, it's a tie-in to the True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys. One of those things you said he worked on, like little music videos, they had tie-ins.
Okay.
So that's one of the little tie-in music videos it looks like here.
Oh well, that last Mike Kim Rowe album with the spider on it with Na 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 on it. That
Yeah.
album that was a conceptual album that was based in the universe of the Killjoys, and that was actually an album that was supposed to be recorded by the Killjoys. Is basically like in canon. So
Okay, so that's basically what he worked on. That's what the Danger Days is in reference to. Hmm.
oh, that's cool. I like Killjoys. That's actually what made me a Gerard Way fan. That was the first thing of his I read, and I think it's a phenomenal comic. I've always liked movies like Phantom of the Paradise and shit like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, when I got that, a little homie of mine talked me into reading it. A kid I know named Chase. He goes by Star Hustler online, Headless Biker. And yeah, he was like, I'm like, man, you read those My Chemical comics? And he's like, he's actually pretty good. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot if I see it around. And I did pick it up, and I'm like, that little fucker was right. This is a good book. God.
Yeah, 'cause I'm with you there. Like that'd be a turnoff for me. Like the fact that the singer from My Chemical Romance made a comic, I'd be like, ugh. But like you said, man, I like his comic work. Not a big fan of his music, but love his comic work. Yeah.
Oh, and he, dude, like I seen him talk. He's a fucking neat little dude. Like I think I could hang out with him. You know what I mean? Just as long
Yeah.
as he didn't want me to comment on his music.
Or like just don't talk about it music, or his music anyway.
Yeah, we could. I'm pretty sure we could agree on like how great of a band AFI is, since like he ripped them off so bad. But yeah,
Yeah, I like the early AFI stuff. I really enjoy. Mm.
but yeah,
Yeah.
no, I want to support the guy. I like him, and I really wish. I'm glad that he's doing music again. Not really. I kind of wish he, because like he left us off with one last Umbrella Academy book and one last Killjoys book, but he didn't finish any of those series up. He left them both on fucking cliffhangers. So, and then he went back on tour without telling us like if he's going to come back and write more comics for him. Like, kind of a dick move.
Well, he's pretty successful, so I can't see him not coming back and finishing that up
Yeah,
somehow. Unless he's like, fuck it, we'll finish up Umbrella Academy through Netflix series or
they
kind of
can't
find this.
because it's two completely different book. It's two completely
Yeah,
different stories, man.
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe
That's
he's more focused on working on that at the moment, maybe. And once the Netflix series is over, then maybe he'll like shift his focus back to the comics.
I no, he's doing an album right now. Like Mike Kim Rose actually putting out a new record, from
A
what I
new
understand.
record. Okay.
So like I think he's going back into music mode.
Ah.
I don't know. Maybe he can write comics while on the road. You know what I mean? Like in the
Yeah,
bus.
he'll have plenty of time to do that. Yeah, while he's touring in
Here's hoping.
between. Mm, mm, mm,
But yeah, they've been touring together for a while again. So like, yeah, from what I understand, they're doing a whole new record finally for the fans.
Well, good for the fans.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's a whole nother big Tuesday. I know this one was on a Wednesday, but like the name
Wednesday's
doesn't
the new Tuesday.
the name doesn't actually really have to do anything with the day Tuesday. Like it's kind of a play on the Big Tues thing. We do like to have it on Tuesday, but I had some unforeseen circumstances come up, and we needed to push it a day. So sorry about that, fellas, but I'm sure y'all don't mind. Most of y'all catch us on the replay anyways, so and we appreciate that. Well, listen to us whenever you can, however you can, if you want to. If you don't, like if you're forced to listen to us, good. Like enjoy the show. But yeah, until next time, we're gonna be back later this week. Hopefully, not sure what we're gonna talk about because we had something somewhat planned, but we're gonna have to push that to next week. Plus, next weekend, like I said, we're gonna have our buddy Goose on with his artist Greg to talk about his book Bonehead. So we got that going on. Not sure what we're gonna do next Tuesday. Probably another big Tuesday. We're probably not going to do a follow up to this just yet, though. I'm not sure what we'll do.
We were talking about maybe doing a
Borderline or
uh,
Spider-Man 2099 and Batman Beyond was.
Yeah, big two are gonna do like maybe a combo. Yeah, like you said, Spider-Man 2099 with the Batman Beyond, because those two pair well together.
And we've had that episode planned for like a month, man. We're not ripping off comics kayfabe. I swear to God. Like, we've been talking about doing Spider-Man 2099 for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just auspicious that they decided to talk about it this week, too.
Well, I think they're doing the whole best of 2099 because they talked about the Cosmic Ghost, Ghost Rider 2099. Was it yesterday or the day before? So they're going through the whole 2099. They already did, I think, Spider-Man, and they did Ravager, I believe, as well, is one of the ones they looked at. So
yeah, no, I was just joking pretty much, but yeah.
Hey, they probably watch our show and just be like, yeah, let's talk about that. That sounds cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I love them. Love comics kayfabe. Go Jim Rugg, man. You're a hero.
Yeah, they cover. Fuck, they put out a lot of content. It's crazy.
Oh, that Paul Pope interview is so good, man. Oh, and that Rob Liefeld interview was so good too. Did you watch that?
I haven't. No, I haven't gotten to it yet. But I mean, he's his own worst enemy, right? So
yeah, Rob steps on his own dick, man. He doesn't need the people to hinder him. He does it himself.
No, that's it. He does it himself. I have no hate towards the guy. I mean,
no, I actually like him, and I think that I don't care what people say. I do think that he's really grown as an artist. His art's actually really good nowadays. When at least his characters are. Like, I'm not sure if he does backgrounds. Like, the last couple comics I saw him do, he actually didn't draw backgrounds in them. So
no, but I look at his earlier stuff, and I love all his earlier work. I think it looks.
I think his story. I think his story is incredible. He was 16 years old, and they gave him the world. You'd be a little shit too.
Yeah.
And you were 16 years old, and like you became the god of an entire industry there for a little bit.
Even then, a lot of it is jealousy. He doesn't act any different than a lot of other tools on the internet that are fucking. A lot of the people that probably are fucking go at him are exactly the same as him, right? So I mean, it's the pot calling the kettle black, or vice versa, or whatever it is. So I mean,
I like Rob Liefeld. I mean, I think he's funny too. Like, so when he gets into shit on Twitter online, I think I have a good time reading those threads. You know what I mean? Like, there's some great banter, and like I think he owns a lot of people a lot of the time, even though like a lot of people won't admit it.
Yeah, because what have they fucking done? Like, a lot of people that come at him, what the fuck have they actually done? Like, dude has made a lot of fucking super successful comics, you know? So,
and whether you like it or not, he is forever going to be in the history books of comics, man. Like, he's gonna be synonymous in there with the rest.
Just like people shitting on Frank Miller and all this stuff. It's like, get over yourself.
I think Rob's gonna be remembered more than Frank in history. You know what I mean? Just because of his exploits are so profound. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, whatever. And I mean, the more people come at him, I think it just feeds him, right? It just.
Oh, he's a troll. He likes it.
He likes it. That's what he loves it. It's fucking.
I remember when he did the whole flame war with Scott Snyder on Twitter, like back when I didn't even know comic creators talk to each other online. That was like the first thing I ever saw. I'm like, oh man, it was so messy, but it was so hilarious, man.
But I mean, Scott Snyder's another guy that likes the smell of his own farts, so you know.
And this was at the beginning of that.
He does some virtue signaling online as well, so you know how it is. You like the virtue signal, some people are going to come after you, you know. And hey, I have nothing against Scott Snyder either. I mean,
no, yeah, Severed was a good comic.
You want to throw stuff out there. You can't get mad when people come back at you. So it's just funny.
Yeah, we should try to get Rob Liefeld on here, man. That'd be fun.
Hey, I'd be down. Yeah. Uh, hey, I liked New Mutants and X Force early on. He did a few X-Men comics. I think he drew like early on. He drew some X-Men, like a few guest like spots. Where was it? Is it where the X-Men go on a bachelor party? I think he drew that issue.
Of course he did.
Shit, I can't remember. Anyway, I'd have to look it up. Yeah, and it's actually not bad. I looked at it. It was the art's pretty good in it. You know.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, people pull out these really specific instances, like that picture of Captain America. Yeah, he has some pretty bad pieces to his name, but he's got some really, really nice art too. You know
But
what I mean?
so does you could another person you could do. John Romita Jr. has some beautiful books, and he has some like god awful books. Like, I mean, these guys are working with deadlines, right? I mean,
And I mean, that's a good point out, man. Then that's what makes me think that it's the attitude that gets, because like I've always wondered like why John Romita Jr. gets way more respect than Rob. You know what I mean? Because like you said, the talent is. I mean, I don't come at me on the comments about this. I'm not trying to besmirch either of these guys, but like they are pretty comparable. You know what I mean, with their proportions and like how
yeah. I mean, deadlines are deadlines, right? And sometimes you gotta, if you want to meet your deadlines, sometimes you got to spend more or less time. And like, I've seen some amazing John Romita Jr. stuff, and I've seen some just as bad as some of his, like, as good as some of his stuff is, he has some stuff that is equally at the other spectrum of being bad, so
I think the cool thing about Ramita is like he was always on the nose about it. Like in every interview that I've seen of him, at least back in the day, like he'd be like, people always ask me, "What's my art style called?" I call it on time. Like,
yeah, on time. That's a good way to put it.
like, yeah, you can say whatever you want to, but at least I have my art in when it's supposed to be in. My books
Yeah,
come.
exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty good own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that pretty much sums it up, right? So, yeah, awesome.
But yeah, we'll be back next week, and later this week. I'm pretty sure we'll have some.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know what's going on. I'm waiting to hear back from Adrian. So we'll see.
Yeah, if not, man, maybe we'll do 2 episodes. Maybe we'll have Adrian on when we interview the guy because he seems friendly enough. We might have, but yeah, we might be doing a hot flash for online and a book that you can order off of a fella's Big Cartel. I'm not gonna announce it just yet because I'm not sure if that's what we're gonna do, but yeah.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We'll definitely have something. Worst case, no later than next Tuesday, and maybe Friday or something. I don't know. We don't know, or
And
this weekend, or yeah.
And we're gonna try to get the schedule picked back up, man. I did not expect the new year.
January's been mishmash of just fucking.
Been a
Just
tricky.
not. Yeah, scheduling's been horrible for January. So far, the beginning of February as well.
Your cookie though, like.
Yeah. I mean, life happens, right? So you just got to roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Take it